It's a very good afternoon to all our viewers and welcome to a new episode of The World Today, where we bring you all the latest news, both from home and internationally, or from our websites online. I'm delighted to be joined this afternoon by my guest here in the studio, Ms. Eissa, the international law expert. It's a very good afternoon to you. Sama, and thank you very much for joining us this afternoon.
Thank you for having me.
Right, let's start straight away with news from Al-Ahram Online, and the headline reading: Egypt's parliament provisionally approves a new NGO law, waits for cabinet draft. Egypt's parliament provisionally approved on Monday a draft law aimed at regulating the performance of non-governmental organizations. The 89-article law was drafted by the chairman of the Parliament's Social Solidarity Committee, Abdel Hadi Al-Qasabi, and 203 other members of parliament. He said that the MPs have decided not to wait until a cabinet-drafted law on NGOs is submitted to the parliament, so they took the initiative in drafting a law on NGOs and opening a debate on it. First and foremost, Ms. Sama, how do you see the parliament's decision to take it upon themselves to draft a law and start debating the law before the cabinet gives them a copy of a proposed law for NGOs?
I think the parliament is doing what they initially desired to do, which is legislate laws and lawmaking. So it's a very good step and initiative where it's actually playing the role that it should initially play from the start. Regarding the law itself and the NGOs, here in our Middle East mentality, we always have this secret agenda, and
conspiracy
we have exactly the conspiracy theory. But also, I need to give the Egyptian government the benefit of the doubt, because we have very bad previous experiences when it comes to this matter, because data and facts prove that NGOs that was present before the revolution were not sincere NGOs. They were using...
They had other agendas.
Exactly, and they were collecting data to get into the core of private matters of the country. Hence, it's understandable the concern that comes from the parliament. Therefore, the solution, the ultimate solution, is to have transparency. Therefore, to have a law that have transparency, also have an edge where the foreign countries that provide the funds were not going to approve of it. So we're standing here in a dilemma where you want to secure the country and have a transparent transaction where the money is coming from, where it's going in the outcome. And on the other hand, you have the foreign countries that are not accepting of these rules. So I'm suggesting, for instance, a solution that we have a delegate from the parliament where they go and explain this matter in details with evidence that Egypt has a very bad previous experience in regard to this matter. So we are entitled to protect the country's personal affairs by this law. And I think if a delegate did the extra effort from our side, Egypt's side, to the foreign countries that are providing funds, they would be understandable. But we need to go an extra mile.
And do you think that is going to be done in order for this new law to be activated?
Yes, to be satisfying for all factories. We don't want to do something that it's only appearing to be serving a certain purpose, but in reality is not.
Indeed. Right, Sama, let's move to the World Bulletin, and another headline reads: Suicide bombings kill 9 in Iraq's Fallujah. A bomber drove his explosive-laden car into a security checkpoint and detonated it at the entrance of Nazal district in central Fallujah, some 50 kilometers west of Baghdad. Another bomber blew up his explosives vest at a police headquarters in central Fallujah. 5 military personnel and 4 civilians were killed in the attacks. Now, with Daesh claiming responsibility for these attacks, how do you think this could possibly influence the Iraqi forces that are on their mission to retake cities that Daesh has already taken? For example, Mosul. There's a very big offensive now where the Iraqi forces are trying to retake most parts of the city of Mosul. How do you think Daesh is retaliating with regards to this initiative?
For me, what's very apparent, the suicide bombing is something that is the normal, what happens in Iraq. But 9 is a massive number. So in regards to what you've just mentioned now, this is a very good indicator that Daesh is coming to an end. Because they're increasing the amount of the bombing that's happening, which they claim that they have done, in order to prove their presence. 1, 2, they're actually giving us an indication that they are threatened. Hence, the Mosul is about to fall. This only indicates there is a massive pressure on them and their end is near. Hence, they're acting very recklessly and they're increasing the bombs that's happening. This is not the normal rate, and they're claiming it. And if this happened and it fall, Daesh, this is the last state that they hold. They have nothing left but Syria, Iraq. So the 9 bombing, as much as it's heart-aching, and it's a very sad news, but an indicator that the pressure is going on well on Daesh. Hence, they're acting in a very violent and aggressive way than their normal aggression pattern.
So this is part of their retaliation for the Iraqi army's offensive.
Yes, exactly.
How long do you think, I mean, it's been a while already since they launched this offensive, but how long do you think it will take, I know it's difficult to estimate a time period, but average-wise, for a successful operation to be completed and the retaking of Mosul from the Daesh terrorist group?
I think there's various factors. I can't claim, say, a direct time, but I can speculate with a very high percent that their end is near, because the Mosul is about to end, and also in Syria, Iraq, the US and other parties are also pressuring very hard. So it's very apparent their end is near, and this news title that you've just mentioned assured us that.
Indeed. Right, Sama, let's move to the Khalij Times. And another headline reads, Saudi Arabia intercepts missile fired from Yemen. Saudi Arabia Defense Forces on Tuesday intercepted and destroyed a ballistic missile fired from Yemen towards the kingdom. The missile was fired towards the Najran region but was shot down. Coalition forces responded by targeting the source of the fire inside Yemen. The coalition, of course, has been engaged in a bombing campaign against the Houthi rebels and their allies since March last year, and the insurgents have targeted their airbase. How do you see this move from the Houthi militias and their allies in bombing across the border? Now they're trying to move the fight across the border. How dangerous is this in your opinion?
As frankly as it may sound, for Saudi Arabia, reap what you sow. This is a very expected reflex action for what they're doing from the Houthiyyin, and this has been going for a year now. So in my humble opinion, this would never end with a war. Like, war is not the solution for what's happening, because Houthiyyin is a very large sect in Yemen. They construct a very large percent of the Yemeni people. So what Saudi Arabia is doing will never resolve the conflict. War is not the answer.
But then again, Sama, there have been a lot of attempts to have talks and peace negotiations and ceasefires between the Houthis and the Yemenis and etc. None of them have come to fruition. Always last minute, some party pulls out of the talks and it all goes to shambles. Do you think, as you said, yes, war is not the solution, but alternatively, what would be a possible scenario?
Okay, they have to create a win-win situation, because it has been a year, as I said, and nothing have changed. And President Sisi said it also earlier, that it's only possible to resolve this conflict through negotiation. Negotiation involves various parties involved on the table. And I don't see this happening, as you said, with them backing off. So we're suggesting the same scenario, peaceful means and negotiations. So we know what should be done, so it's easier said than done. They don't actually take a firm action to make this negotiation, this scene, feasible. So we know the know-how, but in theory, in practice, it's not happening. But if it's done, I'm 100% sure the conflict will be resolved peacefully.
Yield results, indeed. Let's move to another item from the Daily Star Lebanon, and a headline reads, the EU should decide between Turkey or its enemies. This is a statement by the Turkish Prime Minister. The European Union should decide between Turkey or its enemies, the Turkish Prime Minister Binali Yildirim said on Tuesday, adding that Brussels should not expect Ankara to change its anti-terror laws. Yildirim made the comment in a speech to members of his ruling AK party in Parliament that was broadcast live on television. The comments coincided with an official visit on Tuesday by the German Foreign Minister, Frank-Walter Steinmeier, and relations between Turkey, a candidate for EU membership, and Brussels have been strained following the attempted military attempt in July. European leaders are worried that Ankara is using the failed attempt as a pretext to clamp down on dissent. Turkey, meanwhile, has been angered by what it sees as a lack of solidarity following the coup. Two different sides of the coin with regards to Turkey. European leaders are worried that Ankara is using this failed attempt to clamp down on dissent. Do you think that it is a valid worry? And what is it doing with regards to talks of Turkey's main aim and dream of joining the European Union?
Exactly. So this relation has always been dynamic and clashing when it comes to Turkey dying. Their only attempt is to join the European Union. And the clash here is an Islamic country. The European Union doesn't believe an Islamic country is going to fit in countries with it's a Christian majority. So I think what's happening here, if we look at it from a different perspective, here what Erdogan is doing is diverting everyone's attention into something else. which is what's happening nowadays. He is becoming a very furious dictator, especially after the fake coup that has been staged. This is unnegotiable, and it's obvious by the action that's coming out of the country recently, where we have the Kurds are constructing a very large amount of the country, and Germany doesn't believe in the oppression that he is following nowadays, and they give them the line to object and speak their mind and say their objections out loud. And this is against Erdogan's intention. Hence, they're always going to clash with his attempt to join the European Union, and with Germany giving this tremendous space to his objections to talk and speak. And I think this is only him taking all the attention to be diverted to an issue that does not highlight him
The
being
actual ongoings.
exactly that he's becoming a furious dictator.
Right. Interestingly, though, if Turkey's main dream is to become a member of the European Union countries, such statements, how much do they hurt their negotiations, in your opinion?
Because now he has a bigger priority, which is his image. He doesn't want people to keep highlighting the fact he's becoming a dictator and bashing out of the scene all of his objections. So his priority first was European Union. Now his priority, he needs to defend his image. And if everyone started highlighting the fact he's becoming a dictatorship in a democratic country, his end is near.
Good, right. Let's go to the World Bulletin, and another headline reads, Iran missile program non-negotiable. Iran's missile program is non-negotiable, and tests will continue, according to the Foreign Ministry spokesman Bahram Ghasemi, who said on Tuesday this was following criticism from European Union diplomats. He said Iran's defense capabilities cannot be compromised and are under no circumstance negotiable. Missile tests are conducted within the framework of Iran's defense policies. Iran a number of tests in recent months, with the US and European governments saying they are a breach of its commitments under last year's nuclear deal. Do you think Iran is breaching, indeed, the nuclear deal as it is being accused by the United States and European countries of doing so?
I don't think that it's even possible for the deal to be broken. Even though people are really worried with Trump and the US election and the change of president, because the deal has not been done only with the United States. There's 5+1 and the Security Council is involved, so it's not to be belittled. And the economic sanctions that has been placed before on Iran had made the country seriously suffer the consequences. And after the deal that has been done last year, their economic suddenly flourished, and they're starting having deals in oil and building alliances with other countries. So the country started to have benefits out of it. So it's not really from the benefit of the US to have Iran again work in the shadow, because it's actually, on the other hand, is benefit for them. They have been doing it for years. They were working in the shadows. No one could have said anything to them, and at the same time, their economic system did suffer, but didn't suffer dramatically. They're benefiting now, and it's creating a win-win situation. But I don't think it's possible to breach it.
To breach it, right. Let's move to USA Today, and the headline reads, Obama says Americans should reconcile themselves to Trump presidency. President Obama said Americans had to reconcile themselves to the Trump presidency. In a surprising turnabout from his pre-election rhetoric, he spoke optimistically about the president-elect's ability to govern. He also pledged to give President-elect Donald Trump the space he needs to put together a new government. He declined to comment on the appointment of alt-right firebrand Stephen Bannon to a top role in his White House, and he steered clear of his campaign remarks that Trump was unfit for presidency. Now, a big file to go through. First and foremost, Donald Trump's winning of the American elections. A surprise for some, not a surprise for others. My question is, do you think Donald's entrance into the White House will actually have any major or serious effects on policies, foreign policy, different deals that the United States has entered into? Does he actually have the power to change anything, or the United States is run by institutions and different factors go into this, and his change will be very minimal? What do you think?
First of all, I have to say this is the most contradicting attitude from a country, a democratic country that we've witnessed politically for years. Like America is the offspring of democracy and is promoting it worldwide. But when it happened that certain segment of the society were not pleased with the democratically elected president,
They also rebelled.
they go and rage and rebel. So they're not practicing what they preach at all. So it's a huge question mark. They're not a very good promoter for their ideologies after all. So this is one. The other point when it comes to Donald Trump, I personally believe for the benefit of our country, Egypt, I don't think it's a threat. Why? Because he speaks highly of President Sisi. So from his perspective, he does not see Egypt something that he would attack. And the concern that's happening in the beginning, I think this man is very smart. First, he's running an empire. Even if people have witnessed him before, when he was in this reality show before becoming a president, he was being his true self. He's smart and he had created an empire. So perhaps the staged things that he did in the beginning is just to grab the attention.
And it worked.
And it worked, exactly. It made him reach where he is. But the United States have a system, not an institution. People may come and go like presidency, and we've witnessed this, history prove it. Several presidencies would come and they would promote certain ideologies, even
changed.
Obama, and they leave and nothing changed.
Even Obama himself is changing what he was saying about Trump.
Exactly, here you go. So this is one. And then for the other part also, away from the system itself, it's so solid to be changed by one person. You never know. The scenario has been repeated before. For instance, what happened with Nixon and Kennedy. The American society was very furious when Kennedy won. He was this young, inexperienced boy competing against Nixon. He was very weighty, political experience, and in the end, Kennedy was one of the best presidential era. So we never know now what is happening, and I think the American people, in the end, they know what's best for them, and times prove that.
And they have chosen, indeed.
Exactly.
Right. I'm afraid we've run out of time. Sama Eissa, the international law expert, I'd like to thank you very much for joining us this afternoon. Thank you very much. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, we wrap up today's edition of The World Today. My name is Angie Meher. Many thanks for watching.